Welcome back, everybody. A piece of World War II history with deep roots in the Tri-Cities is getting a second life.
In an Apple Valley News Now exclusive, our Dan Hansen says it's all thanks to the determination of a local bookstore owner, the family of a late author, and a wealth of newly uncovered research.
Back in 1944, enthusiasm for buying war bonds at Hanford was running low. Tens of thousands had moved to the windswept, dusty plains of eastern Washington, working on a top-secret World War II project so classified they didn't even know what they were building. But they did know one thing, and they were asked to sacrifice, again, this time from their paychecks.
A group of people came up with the idea of, let's buy a plane, right? How do we get people to be emotionally invested in a fundraising drive, right? You have to have something physical, something concrete.
And so they did. More than 44,000 Hanford workers pooled their wages to raise $300,000, enough to buy a B-17 Flying Fortress. On July 23, 1944, they gathered to christen the aircraft day's pay before it was flown to Europe.
A way for Hanford workers to more directly contribute to the war effort in a more personal way.
Now, more than 80 years later, the legacy of that sacrifice is taking flight once again.
If you don't pass them on, they get forgotten. And I'm hearing that quite a bit more lately as I age. And so I'm trying to pass that on to my children.
Spencer Houck's father was a patrolman at Hanford, and one of many who gave up his day's pay for that bomber. Houck says stories like his dad's are powerful and worth preserving. And so does Steve Wilfolk, owner of Xenophile Bibliopole bookstore in Richland.
I started looking for it because it's part of my heritage. My grandfather would have been one of those people who kicked the money in.
He's talking about the book Day's Pay, originally written in 1992 by the late Charles McCarter. Only 170 copies were ever printed. The story was nearly lost until now. Wilfolk tracked down McCarter's family in Montana, and with their blessing, he's bringing the book back to life. This new edition isn't just a reprint. It's nearly double the original, with new research and updated crew details, a symbol of Richland's aviation legacy. The expanded book includes 120 pages, a color photo section, and a foreword by historian Don Sorensen, priced at just $20. Wilfolk says the goal is to keep it accessible for everyone. And that legacy isn't just in the pages. It's in pieces of history now on display at the Pasco Aviation Museum. Items donated by the family of WWII, the pilot who flew the Day's Pay, including his headset, goggles, and even an old aircraft gauge. The plane itself, long since decommissioned and destroyed, but the spirit of the Day's Pay is still alive, especially in the moments of national need.
After 9/11, Richland came together and did a similar, Tri-Cities came together and did a similar campaign and bought a fire truck for New York City. And smartly, right, the organizers of that looked back to history and said, this is another national emergency that we can rise. We can crowdfund, right, real significant help.
And today that spirit echoes in places all around us, from a mural outside of Richland High School to the badge worn by the Richland Police Department. Gone, maybe, but never forgotten. Reporting in Richland, Dan Hansen, Apple Valley News Now.
What an interesting story there. Wilfolk says the book is available for pre-order and hopes to have the printing completed soon.